This is the SOUNDCORE C40i earring-style clip-on open-air earbud, and this thing arrives only 7 months after the C30i came out, which, when you think about it, is unusually short for a product cycle, innit? Unless the C30 was bad enough that the company had to quickly take things back to the drawing board. And if you remember my review of the C30, it wasn't very glowing and was probably the worst scoring SOUNDCORE on GearUp ever. So the question is, has SOUNDCORE fixed my biggest complaints and nailed the experience now? Or is everything same old, same old? The SOUNDCORE C40i retails for $100. That's $30 more than before, and it comes in graphite gray with more colorways coming towards the end of the year, at least here in the US. Bluetooth 5.3 with AAC and SBC support, and there is also multi-point Bluetooth capability. In the business end of things, there is a 12x17 racetrack driver on each end, basically the rectangular. Battery life is factory rated for 7 hours versus 10 from before, although IRL I was getting more like 5.8 hours with AAC at 65% volume. Water dust resistance, both are identical, IPX4. And now, let me try to zoom in on this a little bit. In the rear module right here, there is a button, a physical button, no more touch controls. Come on, you can focus. It accepts single, double taps as well as hold, and it's customizable in the app. Lining up the old versus the new, you could probably tell that the case is a little bit shallower on the new one, so not as bulky, and it's more obvious when you have them open. So when you line up both apertures for the earbuds, which are identical, and line them up right here where the line starts, the battery bump towards the back is a little bit smaller on the new one versus the big one. So something to bear in mind there. Even the materials are a little bit different too. There's less, it's more matte now, and I feel like it's gonna resist scratches a whole lot better than the old one. The old one, if you look past the sparkly paint job and all that kind of such, you can see scratches already form really quickly. Like within a week and a half of my use, just normal use, I could see a lot of scratches. This one, so far so good. No wireless charging, just USB-C charging, and there's a pairing button at the bottom just like before. Over at the front, there are 2 improvements. The slot for your fingers are a little bit wider now, so it's easier for you to grip this and pop this open. The LED has also been subsequently widened as well. There's quite a bit of change between the generations. The new one has a physical button now, really nice to press and fits the finger just right. The old one has this gesture pad right here, and you can tell that the shape has also changed. It's more like of a barbell rounded version on the old one, and the new one is more oval, and it's also much thinner as well in the rear for the C40. It fits around, even in default shape like this, there's less pinching, and it makes your, it just is more comfortable to wear. The front is identical in shape, but the venting ports have changed. Like the front is bigger now, you can see the difference there. And also the output ports where the sound comes out is, you can see that there it's vertically oriented, while the new one, I can spread this open easily, it's horizontal. So yeah, there's a difference there for what it's worth. And you can just tell just from that little flexibility demo right there, the old one was really stiff with this hard plastic ending there, the apex, that kind of like rubbed against each other and just like flexed whenever I pull it apart, and it's really stiff. While the new one, check this out guys, look at that. I can do this one-handed too, and it spreads open really easy, much faster to put on your ears. This has a titanium core with a TPU sheath around it. And since we're here, let's do the shake test. Oh yes, passes with flying colors. This whole getup kind of makes me look like a pirate at a Renaissance fair, innit? But I don't want to be a pirate! Anyways, I have AVAMAX piping through my OnePlus Open to the C40s, playing Kings and Queens. It's a bass-heavy song with that beat. And I'll tell you what, and I'll talk more about this, about SQ in a bit, but the bass, there's a little bit more now than the C30, and for working out, I can hear it over all the drone of the cars in the background. So that's an improvement. But anyways, we're here to test the Bluetooth range. I'm walking from the back of my house towards the side, and right now I'm 25 feet away, direct line of sight. Thankfully, no signal problems. Around the side here, once we have some obstacles, right by the window here, by spec, we usually get, like predictably, it just got a signal cut out left and right. So it's doing exactly what it was designed to do. When it comes to the fit, guys, this is how it sits in my ears. This is where the C40 comes into its own. It's super secure, super stable. If I'm jumping around, doing like crazy movements, it doesn't come loose. I had one complaint about the C30 in the past, and that has been resolved. We'll talk more about this later on. But In the past, when I lean my neck this way and that way, if I have a collar or a hoodie, doing work or something, the buttons will activate because they press against the back of my ear or the skin. And because they're touch controls, they activate, and it's now buttons. So that's a good thing. Now, one very important thing about owning one of these is the sound quality really depends on how these sit on your ears. You can slide it to where it's comfortable, but even then, it might not sound good. So you really have to find the best place where, because everyone's pinna or the earlobe are designed differently, so the sound, even though it has a 20-degree output port and everything nowadays, it will bounce around differently into your ear canal. So you have to find the best position to do it. So make sure you take your time. It takes me like half an hour. When I first got mine, it took me half an hour to get it right. So take your time with it. Don't like pass judgment right away, and I think you'll be good to go. Strict dash right now. There's wind coming from this direction, and here comes some Cars 2 testing. 1, 2, 3, testing. 1, 2, 3. You can probably hear my S's are very like garbled and digitized. And so I sound like kind of like underwater a little bit. These things, I would say, are quite serviceable for phone calls. It's not, obviously the best, and it's not the best that SOUNDCORE has ever done, but definitely doable. You get a phone call, your listeners are not going to be upset too much. But yeah, the noise suppression algorithm, the wind suppression, there's probably none there. The noise suppression algorithm, it's okay. But anyways, let's head back to the studio. Oh, testing. 1, 2, 3. How's that sound? I've said this before, SOUNDCORE has one of the best apps in the business. While there's no Google Fast Pair or anything like that here, pairing is a cinch, and once you're in the app, you'll see that everything is accessible from the main page with minimal scrolling required. Now, some highlights are customizable controls for all the button press combinations, or you can deactivate the buttons altogether if they get in the way for whatever reason. Under sound effects, there's an 8-band parametric EQ, as well as a new volume booster preset that wasn't in the C30. Talk about flipping the script. Like, two of my biggest complaints about the C30 have been resolved. The subpar materials for the buds, especially the odd plastic joint right here at the apex of the curve that flex outward whenever I squeeze it, it's completely gone now, replaced by this flexible titanium strip with soft TPU over it. And this not only looks tons better, but makes it that much easier to expand with your fingers, just one-handed in fact, as you slot it onto your earlobe. And can I get an amen? Because touch controls are gone and have been replaced by a much more reliable and tactile physical button. And sure, the location still isn't very ideal, but there's no more random ghost touches. In terms of sound quality, there's more bass now, but I see what they've done here. Right out of the box, my ears tell me that SOUNDCORE boosted the low frequencies while dropping the overall gain. And what that means is twofold. First is that bass has, a little bit more punch than before, which finally is strong enough to cut through average external noises, so it helps you keep the beat while you're working out at the gym or out running or something. And of course, make no mistake, this kind of setup will never present bassy stuff by Pendergrass or Barry White as good as other types of earbuds. But in this case, something is better than nothing. Secondly, and simultaneously, volume levels are noticeably softer on the C40, and I had to pump up the volume on the C40 to 80% to get to the equivalent loudness of the C30 that was sitting at 65%. And when I leveled both buds until they were roughly at equal loudness, I noticed a couple of interesting things. Aside from the stronger bass tones, the C40 had almost identical mids and treble to the C30. These two, I would say, are practically identical, like solid mids, nice but not wide sound staging thanks to the open air setup, possibly a slight improvement in treble response now. Overall, I would say SQ-wise, both of these are practically twins. Pulling up a track like Fate by Her, the vinyl player dissonance in the intro of that song sound more like small hail bouncing off a window pane or something, like rather than proper little crackles. Big busy sections like at the 55-second mark, the drivers lose composure altogether, but otherwise, not bad for what it is. By the way, I can see some of you asking in the comments below how this thing compares to, say, like the Bose Ultra Open. What, you mean the $300 overpriced earbud only bought by baby boomers? Well, if you had to ask, it has 2/3 of the C40's bass, but with twice the refinement and detail. for what it's worth. So this is not necessarily a Bose killer, but for $100 versus $300, yeah, it's quite a big deal. And speaking of price, I'm not a fan of the price bump. It would have been an easier recommendation if it stayed close to the price of the C30, which was like $70 when it came out. And I think this is more like an $80, $85 product rather than $100. And part of my reasoning for this is that this category of earbuds as a whole, not just the SOUNDCORE, is an insult to audio. And I don't mean it from a snobby enthusiast sort of way. All of these ear clip buds honestly sound like earbuds you'll find at, say, Marshall's or Ross in their bargain bin section. Yeah, think about that for a second. I'm sorry, but this fad needs to die, or at least have some kind of miraculous giant leap forward in driver and software technology. Tell me if I'm wrong, guys. Is this even normal? A new version less than 7-8 months after the previous one? That's a little bit fast in my opinion. And I like to say that my C30 review was part of that reason, but I'm sure there were enough of you out there complaining about the same issues I had that surely SOUNDCORE listened, right? But however you look at it, really, it's a win-win situation for everybody. SOUNDCORE made things right really fast, and we're now back on track with the C40i, which is, I'll dare say, one of the best open-air hearings, as I like to call them. And remember, if and when you choose to buy one of these, you're prioritizing form over function. It's all about the trend, the looks, the uniqueness. You're not coming here for the SQ. Well, that has been my review of the SOUNDCORE C40i, and I'll see you in 7 to 8 months for the next model. If you have any questions about this product or even the C30, feel free to ask in the comments below. We have this huge community here on GearUp now. I have viewers that come back every week helping out people in the comments who have questions or whatever. So we're all working on this together. You guys are nameless who've been helping out, but thank you for doing that. And also thank you right now for watching this, and I hope you come back for more. If you'd like to see more content like this, you know what to do. Like this video, subscribe, reshare this with your friends, and get the word out there. And remember to do something loving and kind for somebody in this world, guys, because guess what? The world needs it more than ever, and it starts with you. I love you all very much. Peace out and God bless. Whoosh.